Hi everybody, it's time. We're back for another live broadcast from the head office of Talmix here in London, UK, and it's wonderful to have you joining us for another monthly session. As you know, if you follow these sessions regularly, these broadcasts are run every month. Once a month, and are really aimed at empowering our consultants and those who do watch with new insight into the consulting industry. I'm joined today by a great group of people, and we're really talking all about the Talmix partnerships with some of the key organizations globally that we work with, and I'm really privileged to have them on the panel with me today to talk more about how the world of work is changing and how you as a Talmix consultant can really benefit in that and from the partnerships that we've built up. So as you know, my name is Katie Roberts. I work very closely with the Talmix marketing team. You would have seen me quite regularly before. This session, as you know, is being recorded, so it will be available on YouTube, on our YouTube channel soon after, if you do want to watch it again, or if you want to share the link with your colleagues and your network as well. And if you want to chat with us, do chat with us on social media. Our Twitter handle is @weareTalmix, or use the hashtag TalmixChat. So I'm going to jump straight in and introduce our wonderful set of panelists that's joining me today. Jonathan Peachy is here he's the co-founder and director of Metis. We have Francesco Maselli, the director of business innovation at Shaw Academy. And we have Manoj Madhusudanan from InsightBee, the managing director of InsightBee. I'm going to take just a few seconds, each of you. Instead of me introducing what you do and what your companies do, I'd rather have you do it. It's a lot easier. So, Francesco, I wonder if you can just, in a few seconds, just tell us a little bit more about the Shaw Academy and what value you offer to those who take or use your services.
Hi, Katie. Hi, everybody. Thanks for the introduction. I'm Francesco, as Katie say, a business innovation director, and also I'm looking for strategy at Shaw Academy. Shaw Academy today is the largest online educator on the planet. We teach live subject. We teach everything that could be helpful for any kind of students. Could be a student that is at university, could be a consultant, could be someone that is looking to upgrade its own skills, also someone retired from work. So the difference between us, the main difference and a normal e-learning provider is that we, as I said before, we provide live education, which gives also the possibility to interact with the professors and have at the end of the lesson all the doubt clear and get as much as you can from the subject.
Wonderful. Thanks, Francesco. Jonathan, tell us a little bit more about Metis and how you service the consulting firms that you work with.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Jonathan Peachy. I'm one of the co-founders of Metis. We make software for consultancies of up to 100 people, which helps those firms run more profitably. So it brings together things like timesheets, expenses, sales pipeline, job profitability, resource management, and strategic timesheets, the sort of things that people typically run in lots of different spreadsheets and timesheet apps. We bring it all together, and the goal is to give our clients an unfair advantage, the sort of capabilities that bigger firms have to help them grow faster, and that's what we're here for.
Wonderful, thanks, Jonathan. And then Manoj, just in a few seconds, tell us a little bit more about InsightBee.
Yep, thank you. Thank you, Katie. So I am Manoj. I lead InsightBee. It is a digital platform to access custom business intelligence on a pay-as-you-go basis. So how do consulting firms use us? In the past, if you were a large consulting firm, you had access to your own in-house teams or an outsourced service through which you could get custom-made, tailor-made insights, literally with up-to-date, accurate information. But smaller firms and independent consultants never had access to such information. And that's the gap that we are trying to bridge through our market intelligence services. We are part of eValueServe, which is globally about 3,400 people. With delivery centers across India, where we have 2,500 people, China, where we have 350 people, Chile, about 400 people, Romania, about 140 people, and in the US, we have a small center in North Carolina, Raleigh. So these are multilingual global locations, which literally provide a 24/5 service. So InsightBee, you don't need to have a long-term contract or a dedicated center to be built. All you need to do is to go to insightbee.com and place an order for a custom report, whether it's a business question, a company report, or a sector report, to help better delivery and better pitch.
Wonderful. So real on-demand services going, still continuing on that theme. Wonderful. Thanks, chaps. All right. So Jonathan, I'm just going to jump straight in. I'll start with you. Metis is obviously built around the very core of the consulting world, and specifically how this world is changing and the demands it places on the consultants that use your services. Tell us briefly the reason behind a solution like Metis and how you're enabling growth amongst small independent consulting firms.
Well, I think you put your finger on it. I think the world of consulting is changing, and there's lots of trends impacting that. But one of the biggest is the way that clients are looking for better value. They're looking for fixed price deals. The days of time and materials jobs are certainly coming to a close. And my co-founder and I both built and then ultimately sold consultancies, and we experienced firsthand what it was like not to have the right tools, or not to have great tools to manage those businesses, and both for day-to-day operations, making sure that your jobs are running profitably or you've got the right people for that thing that's starting next week, but also for the really big decisions like, am I going to hire some new people, which are, if you're a small firm, that's a big decision. And so, and if you're a much bigger firm, you have products, you have tools that help you do that sort of stuff. You've probably got a team of people. But in smaller firms that are fast growing, that isn't available to you. So Metis was the thing that we built. It was the thing that we would have wanted had it been available when we were starting out. We really want to bring that to ambitious smaller firms to give them, as I said, an unfair advantage and help them grow faster and have all the tools so that they can focus on the craft. Because most people start these businesses because they're passionate about whatever they consult in, and not so much perhaps about the business of being a consultancy.
Certainly, it's interesting to me how so many amazing ideas start from a need that you have yourself, and then you realize just how big that need really is. You know, consultants specifically are focused on delivering their expertise, that when it comes to managing that business, it's often a huge challenge. Manoj, so talk to me a little bit more about InsightBee specifically. You said, you touched on the fact that you bring together over 3,000 industry specialists. You team them up with your proprietary technology, which I believe you call K-Hive, and then you produce these quality custom-built insights. So tell me a little bit more about the ways that InsightBee supports this changing world of work, and in particular, how you support the independent workforce.
Yeah, sure. Now, the model that we deploy here is called Mind plus Machine. So Mind, as I mentioned, is the global team that we have. They are all high quality research analysts, many of them with dual degrees, like an engineer with an MBA, and people who can speak. Of course, everyone speaks English, but there are multilingual analysts in global centers who can speak Chinese, German, Spanish, Italian, French, 15 of the major global languages. We have extensive capabilities. Now, that's the Mind part. Now, Machine, when it comes to Machine, one of the reasons why we started was Evalis is a 16-year-old company, has been pioneering the concept of what we call knowledge process outsourcing 16 years back. And it's a global professional services firm, involved in research, analytics, and data management. But, having built these global teams, what we realized was we are probably not leveraging technology as much to improve the overall delivery processes, workflow, the entire research processes, how you deliver that, communication, all of that. So that's where we are in InsightBee. We are using technology in a variety of ways. One is an online platform, so it's cloud-based. You click on InsightBee, place an order. You can also see the ETA of when you're going to get the order delivered. So what happens is real time, it checks with the global capacity. And tells you that, okay, this report we can deliver you by Friday morning, right? That's the cloud-based workflow. Then once the order comes to InsightBee analyst, he or she then uses a platform called K-Hive, K for knowledge, and every B has a hive. That's how we kind of named it. 3 parts to it. One, so there's a bit of technology we use. One, automation with key databases. So Standard & Poor's, Capital IQ, Dun & Bradstreet, Avention, or OneSource, and the number of databases we have access to, and with many of them we have APIs, which means without going to each of these databases, we can connect and get the data. Second, we use artificial intelligence with the help of a partner firm called Squirro. It's a Swiss firm, and use their technology, and we have built a bit of machine learning on top of that to overall improve the efficiency of collecting data from public sources. For example, what you're looking for contextualized might be on the 7th page of Google research, Google results. How do you bring that up quite efficiently, right? That's where AI and text analytics helps us by a bit of smart filtering and tagging processes, right? And third is every research that we do, we create a lot of IP because there's a lot of knowledge that we accumulate. And how do we efficiently reuse that with technology? So this is how it kind of works. So once you place an order, automation, AI, and reuse is the technology part, and then the global team with multilingual analysts is the mind part. Right? That comes together to deliver you the result quickly, and completely pay as you go. So, for example, for a 500 pounds or 1,000 pounds, you could be placing an order, which gives you a good synopsis of a company or a market, or answer your specific business question without having a long subscription or a larger contract.
Okay. And Manoj, just literally in 30 seconds or so, tell me a little bit more about the partnership specifically between InsightBee and Talmix, and how that offer extends to Talmix consultants.
Yeah, sure. So we have an ongoing partnership with Talmix, because Talmix has global consultants who are in need of custom research. Right. So in fact, Talmix told me that they conducted a survey last year where this was identified as one of the key pain points, accessing high quality insights, because lots of these consultants are also ex-McKinsey, BCG, Accenture, people who have worked in consulting firms, now kind of doing independent consulting, but they had access to a lot of sources and research analysts while they were in the big firms. Now they don't have access to that. And that's the gap that we are trying to bridge. So consultants simply have to go to the partnership page on Talmix, and they can access through a link, place their order with a 20% off on InsightBee. That's an exclusive promotion that we have with the Talmix consultants. And if you are running a project with Talmix, you don't have to pay using a credit card. You can also net it off with Talmix. So the delivery contact at Talmix will guide that person through that if they want to avail of that service.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Francesco, I just want to switch to you for a second. So Shaw Academy, as you mentioned very quickly, claims to be is the world's largest live online educator. Your students appear to be professionals who are looking to develop themselves more. So tell me a little bit more about how the Shaw Academy enables the independent worker to stay ahead, to stand out from the crowd, and to keep developing themselves.
Sure. So as I said, yes, at the moment, we teach more than 500,000 students per month from all over the world in 7 different languages. Having the possibility to attend interactive lessons gives the student the benefit of asking as many questions as they want, all the doubt, and get real examples and based on the latest updated from the market on the subject that they are keen to learn. Here is where Shaw Academy gets and also ensure that the best result is granted for the student. How that? We aligned with our motto that we call AGBET. Everything gets better every time. That's what we say. The lesson will be always different and never a repetition. So allowing the students in this way to learn truly new skills each time they attend new courses. Because, for example, if someone needs to attend an interview, is looking for a job, or is looking for new skills, maybe we'll learn something, but it will be not updated with the latest things that are happening in the market. Attending a live education, a live classes, they can ask the professor everything, and the professor will always reply with the latest news in the market on that subject.
And I think looking at it from a consultant point of view, a lot of the consultants certainly that I've spoken to want to keep developing themselves. They want to keep expanding their value proposition, etc. And the type of courses that you offer enable them to at least dip their toe into certain things to decide whether they want to pursue that as an added value, offering to a lot of their clients. And the fact that you have such a huge amount of courses available is wonderful. So again, for you, in 30 seconds, how does that interpret into value specifically for Talmix consultants under the partnership of Talmix and Shaw Academy?
Yeah, so Talmix consultants are top experts in their disciplines. So such as business, strategy, or finance, or management, operation, many others. So we thought that due to their predisposition to learn new things, some additional skills based on everyday topics will anyway enrich their background. So those professionals usually are, because I know that, are very busy and have limited amount of free time, which I'm sure they would like to use to learn new skills with an interactive approach, with a live education, what Shaw Academy focuses on. So most of them will have, for example, an entrepreneurial mindset, and they would like to open one day their own business. They want to launch their own brand, open their own startup, understand how to position themselves on the market, their brand through social media, then became also expert, I don't know, in digital marketing, because they will need to better sell, or master in Excel. Any subject that is related in our offer, in our basket, here is where they can find additional practical skills from other professionals like that. So it's this what I think is the real value added.
Wonderful. Thanks for that, Francesco. Jonathan, I want to just come back to you for a second. And if we take a step back and look at consulting a little bit more holistically, Metis works with consultants of all sizes. You know, you've worked with, I suppose, large agency, but as well as really, you know, offering services to the smaller independent firms. What would you say, in your experience, and given that you yourself, you know, have come from a consulting background, what would you say is the biggest similarity that you've seen in the way people who use Metis work and the challenges that they face?
I think it's really interesting that one of the things that we see, back to this point about people are much more focused on craft than the business of running a consultancy, we find a lot of people are surprisingly uncertain about how they should be doing things. How should they be recording time? Should they be recording time? How do you price jobs? How do you, should you collect time for the whole day, or just for a professional day of 8 hours or something? These are they seem to be quite basic questions, but they're the sorts of things, because there isn't a community of consultancies, in the way that, having worked in marketing services, there's a very strong community feeling around marketing services businesses, which you don't tend to get around consultancies. So these things, the answers to those questions are far less well known. So we get people asking us as much about how to deal with some of these basic decisions about running their business as we do asking us about the right software. And I think that's because a lot of people who are running firms are doing so for the first time. They have been a consultant in a bigger firm, perhaps, and those sorts of things have been taken care of for them. A little bit like people were saying on the Manoj was saying about research and stuff like that. The first time you have to do it for yourself, these things that you've never thought about before become important questions. So the other thing that we see is quite often people will focus on selling work, but they don't focus on making the work they've already sold profitable, which is an obvious thing you would have thought to do, but in the dash to get new work through the door and keep the machine fed, people don't do that. So it's what we see quite a lot of businesses which have quite impressive revenue, but don't have quite as impressive profitability. And the trouble with that is that without generating decent levels of profit, you can't afford to invest in innovation and good quality research, good quality training, and all the things that Manoj and Francesco are offering. And then we see, and the other thing, the sort of the flip side of that is we see an awful lot of differences. You would have thought that selling people's time for money would be a fairly simple pattern, but we see people doing all sorts of different ways of doing that, some more effective than others, and operating practices some which are very, very good, and we copy those and we build them into the software, and some which are not so good, and we try and help our clients learn from all the other conversations that we've had, because we've talked to hundreds of consultancies, so we sort of know what the best firms do, and we try to bring that alongside our software to all these conversations.
Very interesting stuff. And Francesco, I mean, just going on from what Jonathan has said, can you add anything to this in terms of what you have learned from users accessing your courses globally? Any similarities that you see in the way that people are starting to look for, you know, new avenues of knowledge and education?
Yeah, I think, and I could sound, you know, to repeat the same, but I think the live interaction and the possibility to exchange ideas with the students, stay focused on the subject, also using a real practical experience is the value added of this. Because I think to give a great example, if you do one course or you want to learn something, almost all the books talk how or what is what is about this subject, but no one will tell you how to become an expert in that, how to practice, and in a way that you can exceed, that you can master in that subject. So here I think is where we can give the added value. I like always to make an example related. I think everybody will remember related to our childhood. Our parents, for example, to allow us to learn something and get the best out of from our education, they send us to school rather than a library, just because the teacher, the engagement with them and their method was the most important thing. I still remember mine, so not always happy moments, but that is important because you keep remember that, and I think those skills are the one that you will use in your real practical life, either in work environment that in a normal life.
Wonderful. And Manoj, I just want to come back to you. So talk to us a little bit about the trends that you have seen in the demands for the services that InsightBee offer, especially for those who work independently. What do you see, happening from the types of queries that you get, the types of research that is being requested of you, etc., from InsightBee?
Right. What's happening is that we actually see the demand growing quite rapidly for that. That's point number one. Now, why does that happen? Earlier there used to be local optima for every consulting engagement. If you are, for example, 15 years back, I worked with Accenture in India, and so we would hardly have enough information on what's happening in Europe or the US to benchmark really in a meaningful manner when you are trying to do, let's say, revise the manufacturing strategy of a pharmaceutical company in Mumbai, right? So, but that's not the world we are living in right now. It's a lot more globally connected. Clients' expectations have gone up, and so there is clients are much more demanding, and they need to understand the global best practices, benchmark with what's happening elsewhere, really have a much more in-depth understanding of the sector and the trends. So these are the kind of things that we are also getting from consultants in terms of where they request for research support, trying to understand the latest technologies. For example, what's happening on fintech, 3D printing, or any of these new technologies that you talk about, Bitcoin, right? So when they're on an engagement, or it could be that what are the big data implementations that have happened in banks? For example, a consultant might be working on a particular engagement for a bank. They would like to really benchmark what's happening. Now, it has to be information available somewhere in some publicly available place, maybe databases, some other multilingual sources, but unraveling that, consultants don't have enough time, because if they spend time on that, then they reduce the face time that they have, right? So that's where there's a strong demand for services which are on a pay-as-you-go basis like this for independent consultants. So, and the other trend that we see is we launched an Android and iPhone apps last year in 2016. And this is really very useful for consultants, because now they can access their reports, place an order via the app. Of course, our website is mobile responsive, but app makes the experience even better. For example, when we deliver something or if there is an alert, they would kind of, like WhatsApp, they'll get that notification, right? So the whole mobile experience is also very important, especially for the consulting segment, more than any other category of clients that we have at InsightBee.
And I suppose going on from that, we spoke very quickly about the things being on demand, but it's that speed of availability or speed of access that is also becoming something. You want to be, as a consultant, I suppose you want to be the first person who has that info that can give to their client. You want to constantly have things at your fingertips, really, so that you can keep adding value. And I suppose that's the beauty of what InsightBee does, because you cover, so many hours during the day. It's pretty much always available to consultants, which is...
Well, absolutely. The turnaround time is very important for consultants, right? For example, we could deliver a 20-25 page sector report in literally 3 to 4 days.
Amazing.
All custom made, right? I mean, custom made and custom written and editorially reviewed by an English language editor who reviews to ensure it's UK English, US English, all of that, right? So we can do all of that in literally 4 days. The other thing is making it affordable. The cheapest form of doing research is just go to Wikipedia and Google and website and just do it yourself, right? Of course, there's an opportunity cost of your time. Now, there are also completely machine-made insights that you can subscribe to, but you may not always get accurate insights, and you may not exactly get relevant stuff all the time that you want. Carry the best of technology and human validation to give you exactly what you want, but still at a much more affordable rate than what is available with manual research.
And I suppose, I mean, that's exactly the InsightBee value proposition. Jonathan, just coming to you for a second. So Metis is doing some remarkable things. I mean, in itself, just from the blog articles that one would read on your website, Metis in itself is providing a degree of consultancy themselves on key things happening in the industry. So, you know, in your opinion, what does the future of work look like to Metis? How do you see things going?
I think it builds very much on what Manoj and Francesco have been talking about. I think one theme is around knowledge. I think gone are the days when consultants can turn up with a process for solving your problem. I think clients expect consultants to turn up with the answer and a means of testing that and proving that. And I think that's both, in part that's about knowing the right questions to ask and the right research to create, and partly it's about experience. I think the second trend that we see a lot of is technology being much more important, even for fields that didn't seem to be terribly technologically dependent. So whether you're prototyping, using AI to solve problems that might have previously been solved by people, whether you're using new bits of kit, we're seeing those sorts of things becoming more important to our clients. And even the ways of the sort of software development mindset of agile, test and learn, we're seeing that being increasingly used in consultancy fields which are nothing to do with software development, product, innovation, all sorts of other areas where that sort of thinking is spreading to. I think we're seeing networks becoming incredibly important. So the Talmix consultants, I think, are in a great place from that perspective, because more and more of the businesses that we see are wanting to ultimately sell to somebody, and the value of the business is not only a function of your profit, but it's also a function of the intellectual capital you have, and that's just as much about your network of associates and the connections that you can make as it is about the staff on board. So those are all the things that we see happening on the sort of plus side. And I suppose the only other thing I'd say is that we've got pressure on prices from clients at one end, and we've got upward pressure on day rates and salaries at the other end. So I think the future is, as you would expect me to say, about managing profitability much more carefully, because the days of being able to not worry about that because the day rates were so good that it didn't really matter if you lost a few days, those are over. So I think to make that model work, you really need to focus hard on getting the numbers right as well as the deliverables.
True. Francesco, what do you think the future of work looks like to Shaw Academy? Do you agree with Jonathan? Anything to add from your side?
Yeah, completely agree with Jonathan. Technology became really, really important, as well as look at the trend that is around. In fact, our aim, and we already this year, we launched our own platform without the limitation of students in one room. So we can have up to 2 million or 3 million in one only class without any problem. And also one important thing for us is to look at the trend in education, but also to see which kind of salary expectation those students will have if they attend those courses. So we will enrich our basket of product. Of course, this is the first thing. But secondly, what we are developing, and soon will be out our app by the end of the month, is gamification. So basically, this is important for a bespoke education. So as also Manoj was saying before, Jonathan, we want to give to the students what exactly they are looking for. So you tell us which kind of subject you are interested in. We check with you very quickly with an assessment at which level you are, and then we'll tell you, according with your objective, according with your goals that you want to achieve, we're going to tell you which kind of education you need. So this, we think, is going to keep us ahead with the competition, and also we'll try to keep the best of our education. Just to give an example, even at the level of MBAs, school or entities like Howard, they are just promoting just now the last few months an MBA completely live, staying home in the comfort without traveling anymore, without needing anymore to go to Boston. So this, I think, is the future: interactive network with the students and with consultants is the best thing that you can offer live education.
Wonderful. That's a great strong note to end on, actually. Before I do, I see we've got a minute left. Manoj, final thoughts from your side. Where do you see InsightBee is heading? How do you think things are going to look in the next few years in terms of independent consulting and what InsightBee offers?
Yeah, sure. I think I would probably sum up what HFS research called InsightBee. They called us design thinking at work, connecting the last mile in research as a service. I think that's where we are kind of headed, trying to be disruptive in this space and to provide custom research at a much more affordable and much faster, in a much faster way to independent consultants and startups and mid-sized companies across the world.
Wonderful. Jonathan, any final thoughts from your side before we close the session today?
Only to say that I think the future for Talmix consultants is very bright. If consultancy is driven by change in the world, it's hard to imagine a time where more change is piled up against each other. So I think the sorts of combined with the sorts of knowledge and capability that they can get from Francesco and Manoj and the sort of capabilities that Metis offers, I think this is going to be a very fruitful time for all watching this broadcast.
Absolutely. And through partnerships like all of your organizations, we can certainly help them get to where they need to be, and be the best at what they offer. So, gentlemen, thank you so much again for being part of today. That we have hit our 30-minute mark. I can't believe time goes so quickly. I really appreciate all of your time. I know that you've been extremely busy traveling all over the world, all of you. So thank you so much for your time. To our audience, I just want to let you know, remind you that this is available on our YouTube channel if you want to watch it again. And we will be adding a little link in the description at the bottom of this video with a link to all of the information about our partners. If you do go to the talmix.com website and you click on the resources button or resources link in the footer of the website, it'll take you to all our information, all our blogs, our webinars, our guides, etc. And there's a great section on the Talmix partnerships and what you as a consultant would be able to obtain from that as well. We'll post that link in there. But there's nothing more for me to say right now other than keep your eye on your inbox, keep your eye on the Talmix social media. We'll be back in April for another broadcast. We've got lots of great things planned, but thank you for watching and we look forward to seeing you in April, and have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you, chaps. We'll be in touch again with all of you too. Have a good afternoon.
Thanks, Katie.
Bye-bye.